Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of GoTigers247's Film Room. I'm your host, Christian Fowler, and I am joined by former Memphis offensive lineman, something I didn't know, former first team all-conference.
See, I don't know how you didn't know that. Like, that's...
Hey, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, all right,
Today I learned that Gabe Kuhn is a former all-AAC offensive lineman. So, hey.
Put some respect on it.
Put some respect on his name. Anyway, Gabe, other than the fact that you were a hell of a football player, there was a hell of a football game on Saturday night. A hell of a football day on Saturday as a whole. What'd you think?
Well, what do we got to start with the day, right?
Yeah,
Game day, that was the most raucous crowd I've ever seen. I mean, the camera kept going. There was just an enormous pile of people. Memphis showed up, and I think it sort of shows what this university, this program can be with the right type of fan support.
Did you go?
No, I didn't go, man.
You didn't go?
Man, I'm not good like big people. We're not good at being in crowds. Like, I'm awkward.
Yeah. So, quick story before we get into it. Me and Kenny Stubblefield, our digital content producer, went down the wrong way when we get there. So, we're coming down, like, the front side of Bill Street. Not the back side where there was a ton of people, but the front side. We tried walking down that way to get to the place where we're supposed to pick up our media credentials. Kenny, if you don't know, big fella.
Yeah, big fella.
Big fella. With a backpack, camera equipment, did not work. Found out we obviously went the wrong way, and there was a backdoor entrance for us, but hey, it happens. Anyway, moving along. As you said, Gabe, it was an incredible crowd. I mean, I expected a big turnout. Did not expect it to be that big. And I think the game day crew's reaction were legitimate.
Very legitimate.
I think that they actually thought that Memphis put on a show. And then these are guys that have been to basically every big-time college campus in the country to do game day, so the atmosphere is going to be incredible everywhere. And I think they were genuinely surprised and impressed by Memphis' crowd, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Memphis got stellar reviews from the game day crew. And then the game itself.
Fun game.
Lived up to it.
Did you tailgate, or did you just go?
I went out there for a little
bit.
Oh, yeah,
it was crazy out there.
Yeah, it was. It was a great time. Full. I mean, I have not seen, blue and gray fill that stadium fully. I've seen a sellout there, but, the corner was filled up by Ole Miss fans.
Right.
That, kudos. Like, kudos
yeah,
to everyone in that crowd. Kudos to the support you're showing that program. And I think this team is headed, to heights that we have not seen at this university.
Very possible. It's absolutely possible. And like you said that you played in the last sellout, that last sellout was nothing like this.
No.
There was, I don't know the exact percentage. What would you say, 70, 30 Memphis Ole Miss?
No, it wasn't 70. I would say, 85-15. But then,
this one was
95-5. So
at best for SMU. I mean, it might have been 98 too. Like it was basically.
Yeah. I think they got 500 seats for their whole allotment and then their band, but it was amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible because typically, when you're down, we get down the field about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the game. Nobody in there until it's about 45 minutes. When the 90-minute clock started, there was people already piling in. When there was about 45 minutes left on the clock, the away side was full to the top of the bowl, which was just insane.
Here's the thing. You walk in the stadium, you couldn't walk for a while. The amount of people, it was just a mass of humanity in that stadium. That was something I had never seen before. But the game, I think the Tigers were incredible. We're incredible on offense. Defensively, got some things to work on, no question. I think Shane Bichelle had a lot to do with that. And James Pro, so let me be clear about that. But I think this team, looking down the stretch here, don't want to look ahead. They have to make sure week by week that they pay attention because Houston could be a trap, South Florida could be a trap, and then you're going to round out the season at home against Cincy. They're a good team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we've said it for weeks now. Everything's in front of them. They took care of the game that they had to take care of this week. I think bye week is perfect timing. You can obviously speak to that better than me, but I think coming off of such an emotional win, you're on a national stage, and now you get a week off. I've said this since the game. I think if they had to go to Houston this week, that they would lose.
I don't know about 100% would say they would lose, but I mean, you look at their last emotional win against Tulane at home. They went on the road the next week and should have lost. So I think the bye week, you're 100% right, is coming at a perfect time. Let's get into this, man. This was awesome.
It's gonna be fun.
Let's get it done. We start here. Brady has been incredible. I mean, he has absolutely developed how we wanted him to do it from the beginning of the season. Obviously, it took a couple games to get him used to it, but ever since that Temple game, he has played like a man trying to prove something.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's confidence. And you see it right here, right off the bat. I think back shoulder throws are all timing, and they're about having confidence in your receivers and having chemistry with your receivers. And he obviously has that with DeMonte Coxey.
And this is something they went right back to so many times. And you'll see here from the top, Mike Norvell likes to run sort of these RPOs, and he mixes in a draw RPO here with the O-line. They think that Kenny Gainwell will be running in behind them. Obviously, they might be downfield a little bit, but
they don't call it.
They don't call it, and you'll see that. But look at that, and then the hezzy. That's the thing right there that freezes this little guy right here.
This little guy.
Yeah, little guy, because like you're going up against Coxey. You're a little guy.
Yeah.
Like just truthfully, like you don't have a chance if you're going to be shorter than him and less athletic.
Right.
And that happens basically every game.
Pretty much.
And also, yeah, Shane Michelle's pretty good.
Dude's got a hell of an arm. Like, he's got some zip on the ball.
And this is a good play call as well. Sonny Dykes has done a really good job. He's done a really good job revolutionizing what that offense looks like. He bunches these guys up right here on the 20, and you'll see the outside receiver, I think it is James Proche, runs a corner route. And the Tigers, they seem to be a little confused. You'll see Thomas Pickens here. They're in a zone. TJ attaches here to number 83 in the flat. And over top, they just don't get there in time.
Yeah, Thomas and I think it was Tim Hart, kind of in the same area. You get one-on-one, James Proche and the safety. I think Shane Michelle's going to go there every time, and that was textbook. James Proche is also going to be playing on Sundays. The dude's incredible.
Yeah, and the run after catch for him, you knew it was going to be there. Obviously, they were missing their other guy in Roberson, so
right.
That was probably a good thing. Probably a good thing, man.
Probably a good thing for Memphis' secondary.
Then right here, more Shane Michelle.
Just this right here, it doesn't look like an impressive throw, but when you look at where his body's at and how quickly he has to turn around and just make that throw and put it right on the money, like Shane Michelle, gonna keep saying it throughout this episode, very good quarterback.
And truth be told here, this is a really good design play.
Yeah.
You have your H-back right here. No one ever expects a tight end or H-back screen. And you bring your running back and Xavier Jones out here on sort of a wheel action, and it draws a linebacker out to him, and they just sort of pin Tim Hart here, and all he's got to do is make one man miss, and he's in there. Really good play design, really good finish there.
Right, absolutely. And we get to more back shoulders. We're going to see a lot of back shoulders.
Back shoulder.
A lot of back shoulders. And this one's actually this isn't a straight up, just a go route. This is a wheel route. Puts it right. Puts it perfectly again.
And we saw this last week where you have your outside receiver running a go ball, and you sort of layer it with a guy in behind him and make this defense really work.
Right.
Obviously, they were in a man-to-man, and that's just Joey being better than the guy that was on him. But this is confusing. This is hard to plan against, and to layer these guys and sort of bring one in behind him. It's going to be hard to defend at any time.
Yeah, and it's smart from the coaching staff. Get your big body guys on the outside one-on-one, and that's exactly what you can do right there when you're able to get those guys in man-to-man coverage. Kenny Gainwell,
yep.
Didn't have his best day. They sold out to stop him.
They game planned almost specifically around him, and you could tell. And I can't wait till we get to the other guy who had a good game.
We'll get there.
But here's a little wildcat formation. They run somewhat of a zone scheme, but
tell you somebody who loves hitting people.
Let's make this. I'm just gonna roll this. I think anyone watching this tape can tell me who made this play. Watch number 94. We have views of this.
Somebody loves contact.
Okay, 7 on his back, and then make one miss, as Kenny Gainwell does so well. Here's the best view. I'm gonna pause it.
Yeah, you can let this one go.
Let's ride.
Yeah, he had no shot.
That's awesome.
Joseph Dorcius.
And then, by the way, late hit. I'm sorry. Like I'm not. And we'll get to the officials later. I promise.
Oh,
like,
we've got
plenty of. They did a lot more than this, but this is a late hit. Yeah. And a targeting. I'm sorry. Like that's. You may say that's something little, but that means something to me. Does. Just where these American Athletic Conference officials are coming from.
It's not good. It gets way worse. We'll get way worse.
Is this a one-hander?
This is the one-hander.
Okay. So before this play, you saw Coxie just absolutely jawing with number 5 across from him.
Yeah.
And number 5 sort of sold out here a little bit. Gets a hand in the face of him, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Right by him, and then just extends. It's beautiful.
Stop. And you know he got up. Little boy.
Yeah. Oh, you know he got up jawing?
Yeah, of
That's
course.
the thing about DeMonte. DeMonte loves talking. He's going to let you hear it. When he has a big game like he did on Saturday night, he's definitely going to be talking.
Look at this. I'm going to pause it.
Great view. Great view right there.
Great. Do you think he could have got that with 2? I don't think so. I think that's a full extension right there. To get that other arm in there is tough.
He would have had to lay out to get it, but, I mean, hell, it looks way cooler with one hand anyway, right? It looks cooler.
He showed out.
Security.
When the camera's on him, he does the best. I'll tell you that.
Definitely a showman. Hey, speaking of those American Athletic Conference officials.
This is not a block in the back.
No, not at all. How cool is it that your tight end returns a freaking kick for a touchdown?
Well, because they didn't want to kick it to
AG.
Good old AG.
So they said, hey, we'll just kick it, squib kick it here in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Jay Magnifico said, I'll take that, and took it to the house.
This is so funny, though, like how this ended up working out like that. He was confused. He didn't know which way to go.
Joseph Dorsey loves blocking. That's not a block in the back. Sorry. Sorry, AAC officials, you suck. Because that's not a block in the back.
You can't force someone to block you in the back.
And
not to mention, he's looking right at him.
It's the kicker. Who cares about the kicker? Nobody.
Because I guess he did catch part of his shoulder pad,
but it's
where
because the kicker was scared.
The kicker's running away from him.
Screw this.
What am I I don't know what JoJo Dorsey is supposed to do, because if he doesn't make this block, it doesn't end up being a touchdown.
It could. It is the kicker.
Well, 11 and 22.
Right.
If he changes his direction of running, 11 and 22 make this tackle. So
right.
I don't blame him for going and laying this block. I think it's a ticky-tack call.
Because 22 got tripped up by the kicker.
That hurt. I'm gonna go back and watch that one. He got flipped. He got upended.
So did the
gosh.
kicker had a rough outing on that kickoff overall.
But yeah, really, really cool right there. But that was not a block in the back, if we're being real. It had the familiar symptoms, but it was just not the same situation as a normal block in the back.
Not at all. Because you're usually, if you look at that play, JoJo's on the front side of the kicker. Typically, you're coming from the back side when you block in the back.
And if you're blocking in the back, 9 times out of 10, the dude's not actually going to see you hitting him.
Right.
He knew JoJo was coming.
He knew. He knew the whole time.
So it's hard. It's really hard, but I think it's sort of a one where you hold your whistle on that.
Right.
Second 11 here.
More bad officiating. This one actually doesn't count. I believe there's offsetting penalties, illegal formation.
And by the way, this is an illegal shift. I mean, you can't move 2 guys at once.
Yeah, and they like I said, they call the illegal shift, but they also call a pass interference that you will see is not a pass interference.
You should be setting back SMU 5 instead.
Watch,
you get an
look
offsetting.
at that. Look at that. Prochet's got full jersey right there.
I'm gonna say Prochet is doing all the contact.
Yeah, that's very.
I will say this though, as a defender, when you face guard, you leave yourself in a position. But at the same time, you have to objectively, as an official, call the game.
Well, here's the thing: the ref is right on top of this. He's
just slapping in his hand. That is not anything. That's not contact that would constitute as a pass interference. So, in the end of the day, you have to call it objectively, and you can't just take it. Okay, this is the symptom.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what I think that's why they're messing all these calls up. They're calling based off the symptoms, off of what typically goes into a specific call. But I don't know how this referee doesn't see shoulder pads here. You can see Jacoby's whole shoulder pad.
Objectivity is all you ask for in these situations, and they weren't using it. But I'm sorry.
This catch, disgusting.
If I can play it, oh god. Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow.
The concentration it takes to do that as you're literally pulling somebody's jersey down.
And know what's funny about it? Offsetting penalties didn't count.
But I had to put it on there just because.
Yeah, because. So 3rd and 19, Brady White steps up yet again. SMU just brings 3. They drop into. They have safety help over top, but it just didn't get there.
Yeah, not there in time. And Antonio Gibson, as we've mentioned so much now, is gonna go up and attack the ball. It's exactly what he does here. It's not like it's not Brady's best throw of the night. It's behind him.
The crazy thing is, like, really, this is probably his worst throw of the night, and it still ended up getting a first down when they desperately needed it.
And then the very next play.
The very next play shows you exactly what Antonio Gibson is capable of. Because I feel like now that he's so involved in this offense, he's learning how to run routes. This double move is sick. Right here, we have another view of this thing. It's a double move, though. I'll run this from the top, though, real quick. You see Kadarian Jones eats up this corner on the outside just by sort of standing there. By running a little hitch. He knows he's probably not getting the ball.
I know you want to say something about Joey Magnifico here.
Oh, my gosh. This is rib meat right here. we haven't had some good rib meat in a while.
It's been a few episodes.
Joey Magnifico with the... Ooh, yeah. Thank you.
It's big.
Oh, and then fall on him.
Big fella.
Nice job. There you go, Obina.
I don't think you fell. I think you got pulled on him, but hey, it works.
Oh, my gosh. That's by the way.
On the money.
You want to talk about early in the season, sometimes last year, Brady White not being able to throw the ball downfield. This is the definition.
Yeah.
But you'll see right here, Antonio Gibson right here, about on the 35, runs the fake out.
Little out and up.
Little pump fake, makes this guy bite on it, and I am way faster than you.
Yeah.
Beats him over the top like you've never seen before, and that's just a well-placed ball, well-run route. Good job all around.
Yep, perfect. Everything. Get
the
LeBron celebration.
I don't have to tell you about Antonio Gibson coming to play. He came to play.
Honestly, one of the best single game performances you'll see. Broke the school record and the conference record for all-purpose yards in a game.
399 or 386. 386.
There you go.
Wow, I was way off.
It's all good.
Dang, man.
It's close.
You tell them, man.
Hey, 386 all-purpose yards, you're doing something right. 130, 159, and 97, and 3 touchdowns. It's a game.
Here we go. Coxie, back alive, man. Nice little pass protection here.
Guess what?
And back shoulder. You can call for the pass interference all you want. You're not getting it, just to be real.
But that's the thing, like, man, Gabe, you wanted to see that Antonio Gibson play again, huh?
Yeah, I guess so, man.
It's not a bad play to keep watching. Gabe got fired up over Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, man.
Say the least.
Sorry.
But it's the same thing. When you give a player of DeMonte Cox's caliber one-on-one all game, attack
He's going to pick you apart. He's longer, he's bigger, and he's stronger than you.
Yeah.
And you can call for the push-off all you want. He's just going to get that on you whenever he wants.
Yeah.
Because he's that good.
And it's surprising to me that they did this all game. They gave Memphis one-on-one coverage all game. Like we mentioned at the top, they were going to sell out to stop Kenny Gainwell, and it bit them.
And we knew that if we're going to pick a weakness of that defense, it's their secondary.
Absolutely.
They're not big enough. They weren't strong enough. And you know that the wide receivers for that Memphis team are just huge.
Yeah.
And they have speed, and they have everything you need.
DeMonte and Antonio, 6'2",
This
220.
makes me sick. This makes me sick to my stomach.
This is rough.
This makes me sick to my stomach. I don't want to talk about anything else besides the fact that this is an embarrassment of a non-call by AAC officials. This keeps happening. It shows up every single week.
You talk about seeing the symptoms. You can't see a symptom any more than that right there.
How could someone go down like that, get flung down like that? And you know what I like about Kenny Gainwell is he just got up and just took the L. You know what?
No complaints.
Throw it or don't throw it. I don't care. I'm going to keep playing the game.
Right.
But how do you get flung down like this? How do you get flung down like this?
I mean,
without getting your face mask ripped off. I don't understand how they didn't see this at the time. And seriously.
And there's the side judge is literally across from this. He's watching this happen and just doesn't see it. And
in the American Conference, truth be told, the teams are all talented.
Look at this. Go back a little bit before we get to this guy. This guy was fired up. But look at this ref. The ref is
looking right at it. It's sick, man. And then I don't blame my homie right here. I would be mad too. I was mad. What am I talking about? I was angry. You could hurt somebody, physically hurt somebody doing what that guy just did.
Old fella was pissed. Security had to come talk to him.
But before we get on to this next play,
Go ahead. Give you. I know. You. This has been building up. You've been pissed over the past couple weeks from these officials. So man, just
the conference is so talented. You have 4 teams in the top 25, the college football playoff rankings, and yet you have absolutely not second class, not third class. You have the worst officials in the country, and it's not even close. And you affect games consistently. Get it figured out. I mean, it's not that hard. There's more that we're going to get to here. We're not done, I promise. There'll be more rant to come, I promise. Here we go.
Gabe is fired up tonight, guys.
It's weak. It consistently happens.
You're absolutely right.
Especially in big games.
Hey, Memphis could be undefeated right now, am I right?
And by the way, Pete Limbo,
hell of a special teams coordinator.
He has got it figured out. He has their special teams efficiency at the top of the country right now. But yeah,
that blocking is just it's not even touched.
This is a perfect lane. Good job by John Hassel out here on the side. I mean, I didn't, he's a guy who doesn't get a lot of playing time on offense. He's a tight end, backup tight end.
Special teamer.
But look at this. Finds a way to get the kick out.
Chris Claybrook.
And doesn't get called for a hold. And by the way, kicker, come on, dude. Like, you're not making that tackle. No. But I respect the effort. But
hey,
look how fast he is. Sign. Yep. Okay.
Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
Give him the Tyreek.
Now, you'll see the lane very clearly from here.
Parts like the Red Sea. Like I was mentioning, Chris Claybrook's great block. Whenever
you see the off-man returner able to just run up to about the 45, it should be a good chance for 6.
Hey, we gave you one play not to get pissed at.
This is the one that really made me mad because I have seen missed face mask.
Yeah.
I have seen missed block in the backs. I've seen all that. I get it.
I've never seen that. This is
inexplicable.
Despicable.
This is inexplicable. Pooch punt. Okay.
Pretty good
whatever.
Pooch punt for a quarterback,
good pooch
by the way.
punt. You have James Proche coming down to get it. Now, okay. Right? This is what they think they see.
Yeah. If
you're gonna call this a possession, okay, you would down it at the 1 if he stops right there.
Right.
If he doesn't move any farther.
Right.
But even James Proche knows I'm going in the end zone. I can't stop myself, so he throws it back. It lands in the end zone. Look at this guy. Look at that. What? I don't get it. Like, how did you make that call?
Yeah, that's what this is. It's all judgment call when it comes to these things, and the rule states that you cannot
cross the goal line.
Right. As soon as you and the ball cross the goal line, it's dead ball. And they say possession, and there's just no possession there.
No, you have to stop yourself before you get the goal line. Like, and the fact that he throws it back shows that he knows the rule.
Yeah, and I think I know it's different between the NFL and college, and I think even you correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think in NCAA, if you cross the plane at all, even if you're in air. Even if you cross the plane in air and throw it back, then it's a touchback. I'm pretty sure.
Well, the ball, you can still save it. I'm pretty sure. But this is not saved.
No.
There was no one there to do anything. Like,
it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And is this not a reviewable play?
I guess not.
In the NFL, it is reviewable. So I don't know specifically in college, but Jesus.
And the problem is, like, every week I hear people talk about biased officiating in the American Conference. And I tell them, hey, man, chill out. I don't know if it's biased, but they don't. Officials don't do a good job of making me right. You know what I mean? Like, I try to back up and say, okay, they're just bad.
Right.
But no, that's not bad. That's
just not knowing what the hell you're doing.
That is literally not knowing the rules.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, well, that's his only excuse. That's not an excuse.
No.
You're an official.
Yeah.
That's your only job is to know the rules.
It's your job. But whatever.
Do we have any bad calls anymore?
I don't think so.
All right, so I'm good now.
Yeah, bring the heart rate down.
All right, cool.
Look at this beautiful throw right here. To me, he makes a lot of good throws in this game.
This is the best one.
There's not one more perfect than this.
Kirk Herbstreit was salivating over this.
I mean, how could you not? This is perfect.
Zone coverage. Yeah, zone coverage. They find the bubble, which is what I really like. But look at this angle. This is textbook. And you can say what you want.
Put it right over the linebacker. It's perfect. Look at that. It's absolutely perfect. Does he make this throw last year, earlier in the year? Probably not. It's probably an interception.
Yeah.
Or if he even tries to make that throw. But he has so much confidence right now. Drops it in over the linebacker.
But into zone coverage, This is a good route, a good thought, but the throw is what makes it.
Absolutely.
If he can't put this exactly where he wants, it's a pick or an incompletion.
Yeah, I mean, that could easily be 6 for SMU. If that ball's just a little bit lower, that's 6 for SMU. So that kudos to Brady White. That's a perfect throw.
And then 4th and 3 aggressiveness.
Segue right into another perfect
great throw.
Man on
the
man.
Aggressiveness.
See, and that's the thing. Calvin Austin's typically not the guy you're going to man on man. Skinny post puts it right on the money.
Good catch, too.
Yeah,
Good
great
catch.
grab.
Especially with a guy who hasn't been really out there in a big game like this.
Exactly.
I guess Tulane was his first sort of action, but this is
That's a ball right there.
And that's just being a playmaker in a big moment.
I mean, look at that ball. I don't think that ball can be any better. Surprised they didn't call it incomplete, Gabe.
Yeah, it moved a little bit. I don't really care. Let's not get into that. I was surprised they didn't review it and just overturn it. Turn over and downs. Give it to SMU. Just give it to them. Here we go.
Man, we're looking at a lot of perfect throws here.
This
is a money ball.
Okay, you may have liked that one on the sideline. Is that your favorite throw? This is my favorite throw.
I think just because of principle of understanding coverages and understanding that you have a linebacker and a safety, you're reading a defense and then putting the ball in the perfect place, I think so. But as far as like specific ball placement, putting it right on the outside shoulder, this is money.
And also stop trying to press Coxie in one.
You think they would have
one-on-one coverage? He's killed you all night at this point.
And they're like,
okay, go ahead.
False start. They missed.
To each their own.
We're gonna let that go, right, Gabe?
Yo,
they missed.
Yeah.
Missed the false start.
Oh, gosh.
DeMonte.
Oh, no.
Top of the screen, DeMonte. False start. Missed it.
Well, good thing they missed it because what's about to follow, pretty amazing. But beats him to the outside and just look at the placement on this ball.
Perfect.
You can't throw that any better.
DeMonte loves the cameras.
He knows where the camera is.
He loves the cameras.
5 is too little. 5 is too little to cover him.
Yeah.
And he knows it. I'm sure Coxie let him know too.
I'm sure he did. I just don't understand how.
Look at it's in a bucket.
Yeah,
right
I just
there.
don't understand how you can. Brady was fired up too, as
good for him,
as
man.
he deserved to be.
Because I think at this point, if you're a Memphis fan, that you can't say anything about this
The
man
hate.
right here.
I think the hate has turned to love.
Yeah, there's nothing you can say about him. His development has just continued, and he's gotten better and better each game.
Absolutely, but I just think it's ridiculous that SMU's defensive coordinator said, "Yeah, it's probably a good idea to just
number 10, screw it,
yeah,
one-on-one.
We'll just keep man to man." And here's another one where he's man to man. You like adjustments are necessary in football.
And at some point in this game, Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler were just
my father.
Get the hell out of here. But Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit were wondering where the defense was, and I was wondering at some points too. But right here, they run an RPO, and you'll see right here, this is what I love about this play, is this safety right here on the hash dives with the RPO. Yeah. He thinks it's a run all the way, and then what you create here is sort of a 3-on-2, but more than anything, kind of a 2-on-2 because the safety dives down to take Darian Jones.
You see that linebacker kind of sucks in a little bit too.
This linebacker's confused. He is in between because of the RPO action as well. But you'll see Kadarian Jones runs an out route, and it just creates problems. If you have him in on a one-on-one, and he's going to run a slant right here, he's got inside leverage. So Brady throws it inside, and this corner tries to make a play. We saw this sort of thing in the Navy game.
It's almost exactly the same thing. Brady puts it on that outside shoulder and lets DeMonte make the play after that.
Yep.
And this is what happens when you have a running threat like this. When defensive coordinators are literally coming into a game saying, we have to stop 19. We have to key on 19. Then you have safeties that dive down and linebackers that are out of place because they don't know what to do. Kenny Gainwell to beat them.
It's been beat into their head all week. Don't let this guy beat us.
Right.
And
so they let everyone
else. Yeah, exactly. So everyone else gets to beat you.
And then Memphis is basically saying that now. If you want to sell out to stop 19, okay, we'll let everybody
now
else
we can
beat
throw
you.
it.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I mean? Now we can throw it. I'm good with it. But this,
play of the game.
Do we have to talk?
No, let's just
let this run.
Me and Gabe are not going to say a word.
Turn off the mics. Turn off the mics.
For the first run through of this play, we're just going to let it go.
Gibson takes the handoff, spins free, makes a man miss, look out, he's electric, down the sidelines, can they catch him? Gibson's got it!
He couldn't hold off. What's up, man?
Dude.
And then the high five at the end.
This is grown man strength. That's Pat Nelson right there, I'm pretty sure, who was second in the country in sacks coming in this game. Got bodied by a receiver.
I'm not about to talk about any blocking schemes here. I thought it was blocked up fine. It should have been about a 3-yard gain. But I want to talk about the ingenuity of Mike Norvell to even think about putting Antonio Gibson in the backfield in this situation. But he is a grown man. He is fast. He is strong. He bodies everyone on the way to the end zone. And this is just absolutely
I think
insane.
we needed some more Chris Berman.
Oh, my gosh.
You missed it.
No, I don't need Chris Berman. That dude slipped on a banana peel right there. Look at that.
That's shade.
Watch this. Banana peel.
See, it's because literally Antonio Gibson shows everything you could possibly show in this run: strength, speed, awareness, switches hands.
I mean, you got the deuces and you throw up the high five. I can't.
When you
can't get enough of it.
Look, when you see receivers run the ball, they do not switch hands like this.
No.
Watch. Ooh. Gets the outside move, switches hands.
Oh, I have to watch it one more time from this angle. Oh my.
Whoop! Shook that. There you go.
There we go.
There's
You
your
ready?
Berman.
You like it?
Shook the hell out of that dude, though. I mean, it's literally strength, speed, power, awareness. I mean, it literally Antonio Gibson took the country by storm on Saturday night.
This is
the high five. That's just money.
You want some high quality analysis? Antonio Gibson is good.
Good.
Okay? That's my
Real
analysis.
Good. You
And
can't.
he's strong.
You can't say anything else. He's just that good. But that brings us to the end. We went a little bit longer tonight because it was well deserved. Obviously,
a lot of
well
plays,
deserved.
man. A lot of good plays.
A lot of plays, a lot of big plays. I think every bit of recognition that Memphis has received from being in the national spotlight and playing in this game is well deserved. The city showed out. The team showed up. Coaching staff had, I think, an incredible game plan. We talked about all the keys last week. They hit on most of those. What all did we touch on last week? Special teams was one.
Well, what I said is I think they need to get the ground game going.
They did.
I guess sort of toward the end, you saw that
it was more
that
in the
come alive.
beginning of the game. 5 carries for 31 yards is what Kenny Gainwell started out with.
And then,
I'm sure
the
when
Antonio Gibson run is what sort of added on to that.
Right, but I'm sure when they see Kenny in the beginning of the game averaging 6 yards a carry, they're like, okay, guys, you got to shut this down. And then when they did that, man-to-man, which
Coxey's going to take advantage of every time.
But this is literally what we've been building up to over the last few weeks that me and you have been talking about is how do you defend this offense? Simple answer, you cannot.
You can't because there's so many guys. We talk about your head starts spinning when you think about how many people you have to key on.
Right.
Because you can't just key on Kenny Gainwell. That game proved it.
Yeah.
You can't just key on Antonio Gibson. You can't just key on DeMonte Coxey because it's just not going to happen. Someone else is going to be there to take the brunt, take the load.
Yeah, and if Brady White plays like this, Memphis is the top offense in the country.
He has for 3 straight games.
Right.
And he's been absolutely unstoppable. In my opinion, him and Shane Bichelle, who played in this game as well, have been the top quarterbacks in the conference. And I don't even think there's a close second behind those two.
Absolutely. And the development of Antonio Gibson, massive. It's absolute. It cannot be overstated because if you just have one receiver, if you just have DeMonte, your offense isn't as dynamic because they can double him. And they're not doubling anybody. That you literally saw an SMU team give single man-to-man coverage for a whole game.
And you know who forced that? Mike Norvell and his
play
scheming
calling.
and his consistent ingenuity within this offense.
Yep.
What he did with Antonio Gibson this game is something that a lot of teams around the country could learn from. A lot of teams from around the country would love to. This is their probably, 3rd, 4th in line on their offense, yet he's having a game where he goes out there and gets 386 all-purpose yards.
Yep. And even more to speak to the genius of Mike Norvell. And I don't even think, obviously people could say that you're biased because you played for him. This is no bias at all. It's just straight facts, statistics.
I played for 2 different coaches at this university.
Right.
And the first coach had a pretty dynamic offense. Paxton Lynch ran that thing. We had some really good players in Mose Frazier. Anthony Miller played in that.
He was all right.
But without any question, Mike Norvell is a better offensive coach.
Yeah.
I think his scheme is better. I think the way he can think on the fly, it's just you can say I'm biased, but I'm talking about 2 coaches that I played with, and I know that people have tried to scheme against, and I know for a fact that Mike Norvell's offense is way more multiple, and he brings a different facet every game and just confuses people with different looks.
Well, here's what shows me that even more. Last year, offense was good, but it was centered around the running game.
Yep.
Darrell Henderson, Tony Pollard, Patrick Taylor, very, very experienced offensive line. This year, you have no Darrell Henderson, no Tony Pollard, no Patrick Taylor, and you have 3 new starting offensive linemen. And they have showed no signs of slowing down. If anything, they're better this year than they were last year.
And the sign of a great coach is being able to build around what you have.
Absolutely.
And not what you want to have, right? When you look at Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, he has had 3 different style quarterbacks in 3 years, and yet that offense keeps going. Mike Norvell has had turnover. Kenny Gainwell's not the same player as Darrell Henderson.
Right.
Darrell Henderson's not the same player as Patrick Taylor. You get these new guys in new positions, and he still finds a way to use them to their fullest potential. And that's how you notice what a great offensive coach looks like.
Absolutely. Well, Gabe, I think we've hashed through this one pretty well. I think it showed us a lot about this football team. I really do. They stepped up in prime time. I think obviously it being at home and having this was an advantage, but also you could be distracted by this and drop a game because of it. They weren't. They came out focused. They came out ready. They played well. They did what they had to do to win. Now they get a bye week, which, as we mentioned at the top of the show, I think is huge. So what is the message going into this week? How do you put that behind you? Because that is a landmark day for the program. How do you put that behind you and say, okay, now we have to look what's in front of us?
The truth is, the message is, let's get healthy. Let's get healthy right now. We have some time to rehash, figure out what we did wrong, figure out what we need to do going forward. And then when you get through this week, you need to have the best week of practice that you've had all year. And I guarantee that's what Mike Norvell is stressing to that team. And just make sure, regardless of the opponent, because we saw them have a close game against Tulsa where they should have lost, right? You can't take anything for granted in this situation, although when you look down the stretch, besides Cincinnati, these 2 games going forward should be very winnable, right? And I think that's the message that needs to be preached, and I think he will do that.
So everything's been hinted at by Mark Norvell that Patrick Taylor could potentially be playing next week.
Yeah.
Obviously,
still in a green jersey, still in the non-contact.
Right. Still non-contact.
So I think it'll be sort of a game time decision based on what I've gathered from him talking to the press, but we'll have to see.
Right, like you said, it's not for sure yet. No one knows yet. Not trying to speculate or anything here. But
more positive, right?
Yeah, right. But what does it look like? And, I think that is such an interesting question because of how well everything's rolled. What does it look like? Does it make the offense more dynamic? Does it change things with Kenny Gainwell? What does it look like if Patrick Taylor comes back?
I'll tell you what it looks like. It is a change of pace. Like Kenny Gainwell has a certain style when he runs in between tackles. I think he can do it. And by the way, he can do anything. You can put him out on the edge. You can let him catch some passes. And Patrick will bring a different facet to the game. You run different run plays when he's in there so he can pound it up there and sort of be a body blows guy to a certain extent. I don't know exactly what it'll look like because this offense has been rolling a little differently, doing some things we hadn't seen with Patrick Taylor in there. So we're just going to have to wait and see for the most part. But I think he will add an extra dimension, and we know Mike Norvell takes advantage of his playmakers.
Right. If you think back, you remember the Houston game last year in Memphis, big game. I think it was tied going in the fourth quarter, and then they run that heavy package the whole game.
Yeah.
I think that's the dynamic that Patrick brings. I'm not saying that Kenny cannot run between the tackles because he absolutely can. But 6'3", 228 versus 5'10",
it's a
190.
big difference. I think everybody knows that.
So I think that's a little bit of the dynamic it brings if you get into a game where you want to put a team away like that, because they just crushed Houston's will last year by doing that. So I think it is a different dynamic in that sense, and that's really where he helps out a lot. If he does come back, you can line up in that heavy formation, which they haven't done much outside the goal line this year. I think it's a wrinkle we'll eventually see, and if we do see it, I think it will be because Patrick Taylor's back. But with that being said, that pretty much wraps it up for this week's episode. Make sure to go check out Gabe's podcast, the TKT podcast that he does. That he does with his brother Alex. Said it every week now, from NFL to college football to whatever these guys talk about. They do a great job. I think they bring some very good analysis. As Gabe said last week, betting picks aren't very good. Don't take his betting advice. He tries.
Yeah, I try.
He tries.
I'll win for myself. I'm not good at winning for other people.
Yeah,
sorry.
Don't trust Gabe with your money. That's basically what he's telling us here. Other than that, guys, head over to GoTigers247.com. Check out the site. We are right in the middle of football season. Basketball season just tipped off, so it's content coming from just about every different direction right now. With that being said, that's all we got for this week. We do not have a game next week or this weekend, so be a couple weeks before we come back, but hopefully we come back with another win after the Houston game.
Absolutely.